The Baja Peninsula is surrounded by two of the most bountiful bodies of water in the world, the Sea of Cortez and the Pacific Ocean. Up and down the peninsula, people are doing amazingly inventive things with anything and everything they catch. But the mecca for seafood on the Baja Peninsula is here. Just an hour drive south of Tijuana on the Pacific coast, the thriving port town of Ensenada. Fresh fish from all over Baja is brought here and then shipped all over the world. It's a town with some history. The oldest bar in Mexico, the original Margarita, and they say the very first fish taco are all part of the story. Oh, it's so fresh! And because I know you're dying to know how to make the absolute perfect beer-battered fish taco, I'm gonna show you how. And to go with it, a little something sweet. One of my favorite desserts. Bright, creamy, delicious arroz con leche. And this is really bringing me back to my childhood.
Dame tu piloncillo, dame café caliente, dame tu corazón.
Ensenada is famous for a lot of things, but really, everything here revolves around the seafood. Some of the best in the world, and I'm dying to try it. Luckily, David Martinez, owner of the restaurant Muelle 3, has it covered. How would you describe the gastronomy of the place?
I remember when I was growing up, we always had lobsters and mussels and abalone.
Because it's right here.
Uh-huh. My father was a doctor, and he always brought things because people paid him with species.
Instead of cash.
Exactly. So all my life we have been growing up with this
treasure trove from the sea.
Yeah, something that we are proud of.
Tell me about this.
Well, this is esquite.
So crazy corn. People know it by crazy corn.
Esquite, but esquite. This is a version with...
oh, that's shrimp.
It's cooked in shrimp and octopus. So it's like a little soup with corn. So we call it marisquite.
Riquísimo! Instead of just having the corn broth, this is like a seafood bisque. It's delightful.
The chef, Andone, he works very little with the ingredients. He tries...
Because they're so good.
Exactly.
To prove their point, Chef Andone prepares their signature ceviche with yellowtail, clam, octopus, and shrimp, then mixed with tomatoes, cucumbers, onion, and ginger. The shrimp are so plump, they're like bursting in my mouth when I bite into them. Can't get it fresher than these. Qué rico, qué privilegio.
Yes, salud.
Gracias.
De nada.
With all of this incredible seafood in Ensenada, it's no wonder one of the most famous seafood recipes was born here. I'm talking about the fish taco. Look at this beauty. A fried fish fillet dredged in fluffy batter, fried to crispy perfection, and wrapped in a warm tortilla. So perfect it seems like it has always been here. No one is quite sure who or exactly when it was invented. But if you want to taste one of the best in town, come to this charming little stand about 50 feet from the local fish market, Lily's Tacos. Just don't call her Lily. I'm here with Marta, who is owner of Lily's Fish Tacos. Pero you are not a Lily.
No, soy Lily.
¿Hay alguna Lily en tu familia?
Jamás.
¿Abuela?
Nada.
¿Mamá?
No.
¿Hija?
No.
¿Sobrina?
Nada.
Tía. No Lily in her family, pero ustedes compraron
El negocio, exactamente.
Okay.
Posteriormente pues se quedó así porque es reconocido ya 35 años.
Marta's Lily's Tacos, whatever you want to call them, are carrying on one of Ensenada's proudest traditions.
Anteriormente no eran puestos establecidos, eran carretas.
Okay.
Se vendía un pescado frito al momento en que tú lo querías y posteriormente sale el taco. Simplemente a alguien se le ocurrió hacer un taco así capeado, pero es originario de Ensenada.
Gracias. What makes your batter different from the rest?
Yo muelo ajo y cebolla, fresca, es más casera. Y al final le agrego poca lo que es mostaza.
Mostaza.
Sí, nada más. El pescado que uso se llama cazón. Es un pescado que no contiene un sabor fuerte. El que venga a Ensenada y no come un taco, pues no vino a Ensenada. Así de fácil.
Come to Ensenada and you don't eat a fish taco, Martha says you really didn't come to Ensenada. ¿Y tortilla de maíz o de harina?
Maíz de preferencia.
Once the fish is perfectly fried, it's dressed with Mexican crema, onion, shredded cabbage, a squeeze of lime, and all topped with a spicy peanut salsa. The batter, so light, like it looks so thick there, pero está tan suavecita, está como, it's silky. It's just the honest goodness. Amazing fish taco.
Así es.
Gracias, Marta.
No,
O
gracias a
Lili,
ustedes.
lo que tú quieras.
Igual.
Fish tacos are so huge in the Baja Peninsula that I think if there's one dish that defines the region, that is it, the fish taco. It's very simple, but we have to build it up. So the first thing that we're gonna make is flour tortillas, because you can make flour tortillas at home. So I have 4 cups of flour, and then I'm gonna add a teaspoon of salt, 2/3 of a cup of lard. If you don't wanna use lard, you can use vegetable shortening. And I'm gonna add a cup of lukewarm water. And then we're just gonna start kneading. There is an important debate in Mexican cooking that relates to flour versus corn tortillas. Now, I love both. I tend to prefer corn tortillas for most things. South of Mexico City favors corn tortilla. Now, north of Mexico City, people prefer flour tortilla. But the important thing about flour and corn tortillas is that some things should never be made with flour tortillas. For example, the enchiladas. Some things need to have corn tortillas, like carne asada tacos or most tacos. These are rules that definitely exist, but they're unwritten. Mexicans, we know them. Once your dough is dense and sticky, it's ready to knead. And the more that I knead it, the lighter and the fluffier it gets. When my dough isn't sticky anymore and it's nice and smooth, I know it's ready. Now I have the dough, I'm gonna split it in half until I get 16 portions. So very excited for you guys to try and for you to tell the difference between a freshly homemade flour tortilla and the tortillas that come from a pack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, we're done. Okay, so we have our 16 portions. Now I'm gonna cover them and they're gonna rest between 20 and 30 minutes so that all of the ingredients that we needed in the dough can come together. We have the little balls of dough that rested already. And then I'm gonna roll these out. They're not gonna be perfectly round, and it doesn't matter. All you need to make flour tortillas is a good recipe with good measurements, which I just gave you. And just give yourself the time. This is how thin it needs to be. So you can see? You can see my hand through the tortilla. You just put it on your already heated comal or griddle or skillet, and then you wait until you start seeing bubbles on top. This is really fun, come see. Because you can see all the bubbles starting to form. Then you flip the tortilla when it starts getting freckled. And you can see all the freckles, like I'm full of freckles. Tortilla's full of freckles. And then once you flip it, it's gonna really puff. You take the tortilla off, you run and get some butter. Oh, see how it's melting all over it? You sprinkle some salt. And it's so soft. But for a proper fish taco, we need a lot of toppings. So now I'm gonna make a salsa macha. I have my pan here set over medium heat, and I'm gonna add about 1.5 cups of olive oil. You may be wondering, what is she doing? Because this is most certainly a very unusual salsa. So the first thing I'm gonna add is 1/2 cup of raw, unsalted, shelled and peeled peanuts. 4 cloves of garlic. The next thing that we're gonna add, morita chipotle and meco chipotle. The moritas are, of course, prettier, and it smells much more fragrant, and it has a lot more flavor. And I'm gonna add 3/4 cups of each, 2 tablespoons of sesame seeds, not toasted. This salsa is a very unusual salsa. It's not like your typical Mexican salsa that's like a tomato or tomatillo salsa. This is like a very hefty, velvety, wet rub. Okay, so now I'm just gonna pour everything in here. And now I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of white distilled vinegar, teaspoon of salt, and we're gonna puree until completely smooth. You think you knew salsa? You didn't, because you haven't tasted this one. Spicy, savory, tiny bit sweet, you feel a little bit hint of acidity. This salsa is perfect. The last thing we need for our perfect fish taco, a creamy slaw. I have 1/4 cup of mayo, 1/4 cup of Mexican crema, 3 tablespoons orange juice, salt, some black pepper, tablespoon of white distilled vinegar, and then I'm gonna mix that up. Okay, so we're gonna add 3 cups of shredded green cabbage, 3 scallions, and that's it. We have our creamy slaw. If you thought that the most famous thing to come from Ensenada was the fish taco, let me take you to the oldest bar in all of Mexico, where something even more famous was born. I'm at Husong's Cantina. Supposedly the Margarita originated right here. So I'm gonna find out a little bit, and I also wanna get a drink. Husong's was established in 1892, and you can feel over 100 years of history in this bar. Cuéntame un poquito de la historia de este lugar, porque se oye mucho de Husong y que la Margarita se creó aquí.
De aquí salió, de aquí nació la Margarita.
Eso es verificado.
Sí.
¿Cómo me puedes comprobar que la Margarita se creó aquí?
Hicieron un estudio, hicieron una...
A ver, vamos a ver.
Okay.
So it was a cantinero or a barman who was here. There was a woman who was a regular, and playing with her a little, he made up a drink, gave it to her, and her name was Margarita. And joking, he said, "Here's your Margarita." ¿Qué año fue ese?
No te sabría.
Wait. 1941. So this cantina... ¿Cómo te llamas tú?
Rolando.
Ben, you guys, they have so much paperwork in this cantina. I love it. Rolando, ¿y tú qué eres de Martín?
Es mi papá.
No.
Chingues, cabrón. No.
No me messing with me. I'm so gullible, you guys. Yo creo que la manera de saber si la Margarita de veras viene de aquí es probándola. Martín has prepared a blender jar with a scoop of ice and then pours in equal parts lime juice, tequila, and orange liqueur. ¡Qué rico! It's delicious because different from the margaritas I've drunk in other places, here you can taste the tiny bits of ice that are soaking up all the flavors.
Ya nos antojaste.
I made them one hour one. ¡Ay, qué linda! We're making these amazingly delicious fish tacos. So I want something sweet and mild and refreshing to end the meal. So I'm gonna make arroz con leche, or rice pudding. To begin with, I have a cup of white rice, and I'm gonna pour 2 cups of water. Now I'm gonna wait for these to simmer, and while that happens, I'm gonna mix my milks. So I have 4 cups of milk, a half a cup of sweetened condensed milk, a teaspoon of vanilla, 3 tablespoons of sugar. You know, growing up, there used to be either arroz con leche or flan or jello in the refrigerator all the time. It's just something that we hanker for, that's nurturing and satisfying, and it's very affordable. Okay, so this is mixed, and my water is already simmering. So this is the moment when you want to pour the milks. I'm adding the peel of an orange and half a stick of cinnamon. So I'm gonna let these come to a simmer over medium heat, and I'm gonna partially cover it for 40 minutes. Of all the delicious food you can eat in Ensenada, I save the best for last. La Guerrerense is a legendary food cart where the seafood tostadas are so fresh, so decadent, so yum, that for me anyway, it's love at first sight. Love is a common theme here. We're here in Ensenada with Sabina, who's the queen. She's the queen of Ensenada. She's the queen of ceviches. ¿Cuánto tiempo lleva usted con su puestito aquí?
Acabo de cumplir 42 años, hace 8 días.
42 años.
42.
42 years here. ¿Usted es de aquí de Ensenada?
No, hija, soy guerrerense.
¡Es de Guerrero!
Del estado de Guerrero. Yo no sabía nada, hija. De mariscos, nada.
Nada.
Nada más que mis suegros ya vivían aquí.
¿Y usted ya estaba casada con su esposo?
Yo en el 76 me casé y me vine de luna de miel.
Wow! Okay, that's a great story. Okay, her in-law started a tiny little seafood stand. ¿Y ellos lo empezaron en?
Sí, en el 60.
Okay.
Ya tenían varios años.
So Sabina comes 16 years later with her husband, but she came for her honeymoon.
De luna de miel todavía.
She never went back. What Sabina didn't know about seafood was that she would quickly discover a passion for producing the most delicious creations any tostada could possibly hold. Okay, so here we have her #1 tostada. The base is sea urchin, and then on top is the chocolata clam, which is this gigantic clam over here. It looks like art. Que voy a empezar con esto.
Empieza.
Pero voy a comer solita, no me va a acompañar.
No, usted cómele, mija, yo ya comí.
Con razón si es la reina, Sabina.
¿Le gustó?
It's like fresh from the sea, touched by a magic wand here, and then straight into my mouth. La Guerrerense is such an experience that you have to try as much as possible because you don't know when you'll eat this good again. Their next labor of love is sea snail ceviche topped with more slices of sea snail. Sabina,
¿Está buena, hija?
¿qué nos está haciendo? The sea snail is so incredibly tender. Sabina, why do you think you're so incredibly inventive?
Pues le echo uno corazón, amor, pasión para la comida. Le ponemos todo con amor.
The love that is being spread here is a creamy pate of smoked tuna, topped with raw scallops, lime juice, salsa, and avocado.
La Singapur.
I think this is my favorite now. This is, it's so fresh. I cannot tell you how happy I am right now. The people of Ensenada are proud of their seafood, and will say they are lucky to have the ocean and its incredible bounty. But one of the true treasures of Ensenada is right here on the street at La Guerrerense, where love and luck make for culinary genius. This is my favorite one. Que un placer, ¿eh?
Igualmente, hija, ya sabes.
I think if you give me the first one again, I'm gonna say that it's my favorite. My rice pudding all cooked. I stopped right here when it's still very, very milky. And then I'm gonna add like a 1/4 cup of raisins. I know there are strong opinions about raisins too. If you wanna skip the raisins, you can skip them. Then I'm gonna pour these into this bowl and then I'm gonna let it chill. We're gonna finally make the fish that's gonna go in the fish taco. And here I have some very fresh cod. I'm gonna cut strips about this width. And I'll season my fish on both sides with salt and pepper. Dredge it in flour. In a fish taco, you want a fish that is not going to overpower the taco. So you want a mild fish that's nice and flaky. You want it to break the moment you bite into it. Now we're gonna make the capeado. In Spanish, whenever you make a coating that has egg and flour in it, we call it capeado, which is actually a beautiful word because it translates to something like you're adding a coat or cape to something. So I have the 2 egg whites, and I'm gonna beat the egg whites until they hold stiff peaks. I've been preheating the oil for about 10 minutes over low to medium heat. So the moment I see they're holding a good shape, I'm stopping. And here I have a cup of flour, and I'm gonna add a pinch of cumin. It's gonna give it some personality. A teaspoon of salt. Open a beer. For these, I recommend a beer that's not too bitter or not too strong. I wanna make sure that there are absolutely no lumps in here. Once the batter is smooth, I'll add the egg whites a little bit at a time and gently incorporate them to keep my batter nice and fluffy. I think that a good fish taco needs to have, of course, really fresh fish, and then you need some really fluffy, tasty batter. And I think this one achieves it because it has the beer, and I think that beer really helps to add that yeasty taste that's reminiscent of fresh yeasty bread, I guess, and this is breading, so it's a good thing. You're gonna grab the coated fish, dip it in the batter. Oh, beautiful, see? This is the most pillowy, fluffy batter. And you want to wait about 2 minutes per side. Because I want the flavor of the salsa matcha everywhere, I'm gonna spread a little or a lot. I'm gonna add my slaw, red onion and serranos that have been marinating with a little bit of lime juice. So delicious. The breaded fish inside of this really, really soft and almost sweet flour tortilla. These are really, really amazing fish tacos. So if you can go to Ensenada, you can go to Ensenada, but if you want an amazing fish taco experience, you can easily have one at home. And by now, my arroz con leche has cooled. And this is really bringing me back to my childhood. So I'm just gonna grate some cinnamon on top, or canela. It is such a classic taste. It's the perfect sweet ending to a meal. We had that iconic fish taco, and then we have these really, really classic Mexican rice pudding that so many of us in Mexico really love.